And the order we're going to follow is not the one written on the program, this is the one not the one I have given. We will start with Europe. And Europe, we have only one speaker because here we already have a union. We not only have a European Union, we have an energy union now. And so we'll start there. We'll continue, we'll go counterclockwise, continue with Morocco, Tunisia, and finish with Turkey. Turkey, the host country for the conference, and Turkey, which is connected both to Europe and the southern shore, and is developing as a major hub, in the Mediterranean. So the first speaker would be Dr. Furfari, who has been with the European Commission for 33 years. Yeah, I was going to be 3 years. And is now an advisor to the Director General, and is a recognized expert in energy-related issues and a passionate proponent of energy matters. I don't say that, he says it. And he's also a professor of energy geopolitics in Brussels. So, and he's a very European person, a military person by nature. I know he loves Turkey, especially the area comes here regularly. So, Mr. Furfari, you have the floor to start.
Merhaba. Good afternoon. Thank you, Silvia, for the invitation to speak to your panel. Thank you for the courage to be there at the end of 3 intensive and interesting days. Yes, we are going to talk about Mediterranean integration, but before that I would like to mention what we are doing with Europe energy and how we try to integrate this aspect in our energy union. Yes, we published in February this year a new strategy called Energy Union to try to do what we know everybody and try to provide enough energy, sustainable energy, cheap energy for the industry, for the citizen. Well, what we have heard during those 3 days, of course. We have 5 pillars in this new strategy. First of all, we need energy. In Europe, we need energy. That means that we need to ensure that we will have enough energy available. This is what we call security of supply. It's not new. We'll see that in a second. But it's very important that we try to develop a strategy to work together, all member states, to secure our energy of supply. Second thing, we would like to complete the electricity and gas market. It's now 20 years that we launched this idea to have an integrated electricity and gas market. We are not yet there. Member states are not taking all their duties seriously, and we have to say that unfortunately in the majority of the countries, prices are not free, they are decided by government. We know that we lack interconnections. We are working very much to try to eliminate those bottlenecks, and this will be supported also by the new strategy of my president, Mr. Juncker, to develop infrastructure in all the union. Third pillar, very important for everybody, and we have seen that in those 3 days here. Energy efficiency first. This is the new slogan. Energy efficiency first. That means that we should be much more proactive to work to improve energy intensity. Fourth, we are still committed to decarbonize the economy, and for that we promote renewable energy. We have an objective of 27% of renewable energy by 2030, and we are preparing our position for the Paris conference. But all this will not be sufficient with the huge need of the society that is coming. This morning in this room, or next room, we were told about the need to provide energy in Africa and India and the billions of people without access to energy. We need to develop new ways to produce energy, long-term solutions, not things we can apply today. Long-term solutions. That's why the Commission is very committed to look for new paths to produce and to better control the demand through new technologies for our future, not only for the EU but for the world. It might look strange to say that we want to develop an energy union, when indeed we have started in 1950 with the willingness to create a carbon union, coal union. The Schuman plan was to create a coal and steel union, and we have succeeded. And a few years later in Messina, on the Mediterranean Sea, we are in love with the topic, there was a very fundamental meeting. The 6 foreign affairs ministers met together 5th of June 1955, and they say at the end of the conference, there will be no future for the community without cheap and abundant energy. Today we can repeat the same sentence. There will be no future without cheap and abundant energy. We need that. And thanks to that, we have proceeded in our integration. And our integration gave also the possibility to have peace in Europe. Thanks to the share of energy that we have developed in the Union. First with coal, and second with, I forgot to mention, the result of this conference of Messina was the creation of Euratom, the Atomic Energy Union. We have in Europe an energy atomic union. People do not know that, but it's there since 1958. Because we have been successful with the integration of the today 28 member states, we have thought right at the beginning of the 2000s that what we have done should be encouraged also in other parts of Europe. And this is why we have stimulated the creation of an energy community. It's existing, it's a small union called Energy Community, mainly for the former Balkan, for the Balkan countries, former Yugoslavian countries, but also with Ukraine and Moldova. Turkey is an observer member of this Energy Community Union. What we are doing there, trying to integrate the market. First of all, to create a market inside those countries, because there was no market at all. There was not even measures to measure the consumption. So we need to create a national market, and then to integrate them amongst themselves in the Balkan countries, in order to be ready if one day they have to join the energy community, the energy union. Therefore, we believe that what we have done for the 28 member states is valid for the rest of the world, because it brings peace, prosperity, and integration. And of course, this is also what we would like with the Mediterranean countries. This is why we have launched in November last year in Rome a new strategy with the Mediterranean country to build something new, because we had a lot of enthusiasm a few years ago, but the results were not there. So we will try to trigger the system in order to get results. First of all, we would like to have a gas hub, create a gas hub in the Mediterranean Sea. I will come back to that. Second thing, we are of course committed in Europe with renewable energy, as I say. But this does not mean that we should stop producing fossil fuel if we have the possibility to produce oil and gas in our territory to improve our security of supply. And we know, we'll see in a minute, that there is a lot of potential in the Mediterranean area. So offshore prospection and production is also on track. And of course, we have also legislation to protect this production for safety reasons and environmental protection. We want to integrate much more the electricity market in this area. It's important to create the conditions that integration become a reality amongst the countries on the south part of the Mediterranean Sea with the rest of the continent, and we are working on that also. Last but not least, we would like also to have a clean maritime transport. I will just mention that at the end. And of course, because we are the champion on energy efficiency and renewables in Europe, we believe that we should work with all the Mediterranean countries to stimulate them to do more on energy efficiency and renewable energy, to transfer what we have learned and to encourage them to do the same thing. The gas hub. Well, for the time being, we import a lot of gas by tubes from Russia, from Norway, already from Algeria and Libya. But we are developing also the importation from Nigeria and Qatar by LNG. And we are preparing, as we have seen yesterday or so, the import from the Caspian area and from America. And not only USA, also from Argentina, because there is a huge potential. And as you can see, this is converging towards the Mediterranean Sea. It's clear that Mediterranean Sea, it's a hub per se. Well, we need to create a condition to have a real market hub there in order that there is enough energy available to be sure to have other conditions when time will be right to negotiate long-term contract with the conventional supplier. We have the possibility today to have so much gas available around Europe that it will help us when in a few years it will be time to negotiate new contracts with the conventional supplier. Spain is already prepared with a lot of LNG terminals, but we don't know where, of course, the real hub will be. Every country is interested in that, of course. It might be a virtual hub, we will see, not necessarily physical, but clearly, I will show that in a minute or so, we would like to have more gas available in this area. Yesterday there was a session where we found the debate that it may be difficult to see gas from USA flowing to Europe. Well, we'll see. It is not the message that we get last week. My commissioner was at the G7 meeting in Germany, in Hamburg, and the Secretary of State of the USA say to my commissioner that probably in 2016 gas from USA might be exported to America. If it is not 16, it will be 17, but there will be gas coming to Europe, of course, from USA, because the potential is huge. And therefore, we are preparing that also. We are, as I told, preparing also, member states are preparing their willingness to produce more oil and gas in the Mediterranean Sea. Croatia is opening its Adriatic part to tenders. Spain is doing also the same, but with a lot of difficulties. Israel is doing the same also, and today there was an article in the Financial Times that Mr. Netanyahu have accepted the export of gas from the Leviathan MASEN. It was blocked by the regulator, which had withdrawn its position, and progressively the Leviathan will enter into production in a few years. And Netanyahu's comment was, we do not want to do like other countries which have so much oil and gas and they do not produce it. So there is a potential of development there. Also for Cyprus, what's happening here? Cyprus is tendering also for this gas production. But let's see what we have for time being with Algeria. Algeria have a lot of potential since many years, already exporting toward Italy and Spain, and a potential export also towards Sardinia. But 2 weeks ago, there was a meeting between my commissioner, Mr. Pariente-David, and the Minister of Energy of Algeria, where they signed an agreement to reinforce the relationship between the two countries on energy. I put this image of the tango because I believe that the security of supply is like the tango. You need to trust your partner. If you want to be successful, you need to know what is the behavior of the partner. Otherwise, you don't dance properly. And so we need to admit that Algeria and the others need a security of demand. And we need a security of supply. And it's a win-win. Of course, we need to recognize that we want to have a decarbonization. And they are afraid of that. We recognize that coal will be maybe a difficult competitor for Algeria gas. But progressively, what we want is to have less gas from east and more gas from the south. This will be possible because we want to develop interconnection between France and Spain, and therefore there is a motorway for energy between the north and south. They signed an agreement, too late for me for the time, finishing with Morocco last week or so, 2 weeks ago, sorry, where we launched a conference to create 3 platforms. One for gas, 11th of June in Brussels, one for renewable energy, 14th of September in Cairo, and regional electricity market. That means that Commission is preparing the strategy to have much more relationship with the southern part of the Mediterranean Sea in order to integrate better our market. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samuel. So, as I said, we will take the question at the end because I think everything is very related. Now we're going to cross the Mediterranean, the place where it is the shortest, Gibraltar, to move to Morocco, which is already, as you will hear, very strongly interconnected with Europe, given that the two electricity grids are synchronized and a lot of gas is flowing in one direction at the moment. And to present and the point of view of Morocco, we have Fatima Amdouche, who is Director of Strategy at the MASEN, the Moroccan Agency for Solar Energy. As everybody knows that Morocco has taken a very strong leadership in developing solar, especially large scale, in the form of CSP plants, and is developing a very strong reputation on that. So Fatima, please, you have the floor now for 10 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon everyone, and it's a pleasure to be here today and have the opportunity to illustrate the Moroccan case, how maybe Europe could benefit from large-scale solar energy development in South Mediterranean country and in Morocco, for example. So just to give you an idea of what the projects we're conducting in Morocco, this started in 2009 with the launch of the energy strategy that had 2 main goals. The first one is to ensure security of energy to face the growing demand, and the second one, which was to protect the environment. So these main goals were addressed throughout the introduction of renewable energy in the mix, with the objective of having 42% of the capacity installed in 2020 from renewable energy, and with the potential for solar being 2,000 megawatts by 2020. So this strategy has been in place, and the plan is expected to be around $2 billion investment, and would at the end save the equivalent of around 4 million tons of carbon dioxide. So to do that, the legal framework that was put in place was first of all the creation of MASEN, the Moroccan Agency for Solar Energy, in 2010, with the clear mission of deploying the solar plan. And this entity is backed with a strong institutional framework with the operator, the national operator, and with the state. So all this was to deploy a strategy through integrated projects. So we not only have the objective to deploy solar plants and produce the energy required for our national needs, but the objective is also to contribute to the creation of a whole ecosystem with a strong industrial sector that will accompany this strategy, with also the deployment of R&D, which is a key aspect to have more performance technologies and have an impact on the price overall, and all the training that is also required to have the Moroccan research also and training in place to accompany this adventure. So for the deployment of the plan, what was adopted is we are deploying those through IPPs. So actually MASEN has several roles when deploying the projects. First of all, it's an off-taker. So at the end we are buying the electricity and reselling it to the operator. And we are also the lender, since we are mobilizing funds from international institutions and retrocessing them to the developers. We are also shareholders in the companies, the development companies and the O&M companies, and we provide the land and the common infrastructures that are required for the projects. All this really to have an optimal risk allocation of the projects. On the industry side, we have recently launched the solar cluster, Moroccan cluster, which is an initiative that have researchers, industrials together and are supported by all sectors involved in the solar industry. We have international partners that are also with us on this. It's the Climate Innovation Center, GIZ, and INES and Sabah Technolab. All this to really create a place, a network between industry, researchers, to promote that industrial sector in Morocco. And finally, R&D, as I told you, we have actually the plan to develop an R&D platform in Ouarzazate that will be a place to demonstrate the various technologies that are available today in solar, CSP and photovoltaic, and also have a couple of research projects to help overall decrease the cost of solar energy. And last but not least, we're also acting on the local development throughout the implementation of our projects, so that the projects could benefit also to the surrounding populations. So just to illustrate where we are today in terms of projects, the complex that was launched is the Nord Ouarzazate complex. It will be at the end more than 500 megawatts with 4 plants on various technologies, concentrated and photovoltaic, and you see here also the R&D platform. So Nord 1, who is the first one to have started, is the construction is expected to end by the end of this year. So we have the first electrons on the grid by the end of the year. We had strong support from various financial institutions, including World Bank, CTF, and the European donors, as well as the European Commission, the Neighborhood Investment Facility. So you have here a couple of pictures just to show you where we're at and here. So it's about 460 hectares for this first plant. And here's some pictures as well of the power block. So the next projects are Nord 2 and 3. We have just finalized the financial close. What's different compared to Nord 1? It's new technologies that were introduced. The tower, which is the technology that was, so we have parabolic trough as the Nord 1 project, but the tower would be also a new technology deployed in those projects. We have also introduced the dry cooling, to, as you know, in those regions, water is a challenge and an issue that we have to manage. So the dry cooling option will allow to have more water consumption throughout the project life cycle. And the thermal storage, which has been increased in Morocco, the needs is to be able to respond to the peaks that occurs after sunset. That explains the choice for CSP at first to have the needs for covered by these technologies. So compared to Nord 1, we're very happy because we had, and that shows that solar energy the price might not be an issue anymore, since we have experienced just in a couple of years a reduction in peak price in prices for Nord 2 and 3, and that doesn't take into account the fact that we have higher storage, reduction in water, and proposal for industrial integration are higher than Nord 1. Just to illustrate also that all the financial institutions were already all on board for these two projects, and that we were able to mobilize all the required funding. And finally, the next project would be a photovoltaic, because we believe there is a real optimal mix between the two to be able to respond to the complex needs in terms of auxiliary and also to the new peaks in the afternoon. What next? We have two complexes in Middle Tantara that will also be similar to Ouarzazate, so approximately 500 megawatts each, and Nord PV, which is a new program that will be launched that will address the needs in economic areas and as well in and bushwork. So just to say that above, expect en dehors des projets, sorry, my English is not coming as I would like today, we also always had in mind that these projects were first to respond to national needs. So that was the first objective. But we also always had in our strategy to see how we could also contribute to the needs of other countries. So the international strategy of MASEN is also looking at sub-Saharan countries, the MENA region, and Europe. And since MASEN's creation, we always had in our law the possibility also to have green energy exchange with other countries. And we think today that there's really a good opportunity for both sides of the Mediterranean to exchange electricity, to on one hand be able to reach the goals, very ambitious goals that were set by the European community, and also take the advantage of the opportunity of solar energy in southern Mediterranean. All this also to address all the climate change issues that we are both concerned with, and we think that's a very good momentum today with the next COP21 and 22 that will take place in Marrakesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Definitely a very impressive performance. I guess during the debate we can see how everybody can learn from that. But in the meantime, we're going to go to our next speaker. We continue our travel on the Mediterranean, moving now to Tunisia. And our next speaker is Mr. Abdelaziz Rassaa, who used to be a Minister of Industry and Technology in Tunisia, and before that he was a Secretary General for Energy. And and before that he worked in the oil industry, so he has really had to see all aspects of the energy sector in Tunisia. And he will give us the view from this country, which is currently, after being the first country in the Arab Spring Revolution, the Jasmine Revolution, is facing a little bit of a difficult energy shortage situation. Abdelaziz, you have the floor for 12 minutes, please.
Thank you, Silvia, and thank you for the word, and thank you for your kind invitation. I will give you a rough presentation of what's going on in Tunisia and what can be the solution. The Tunisian energy sector succeeded to supply properly the country in the last 50 years, mainly from its own natural resource, and that the energy balance gap manageable. But since 2011, a rapid increase of this gap occurs, reaching 41% of energy demand. It's why,
We don't want to watch Morocco while you talk about Tunisia, sorry. The old friends.
Yes. It's why the security of supply of Tunisia goes through developing a regional energy market to European countries. Tunisia, with his advantageous geographical position, is able to play an important role as transit country representing the Guinean hub for energy. This will be my presentation and the purpose of my speech. The energy sector has had an important role to develop the economy in Tunisia. 4 relevant periods was noted, summarized in. The first period was the development of energy supply through the development of institutional structure as Tunisian public company for electricity and gas and for exploration and production. This is came from the 60s to the 80s. Second, the growing of the awareness of the predictable gap in energy balance. Tunisia take a new component of its policy, energy efficiency, with the creation of, in the middle of the 80s, of the Tunisian Agency for Energy Management, and has revised hydrocarbon law with a promulgation of a new competitive hydrocarbon code. The period 3 is the development of the gas in the 90s as one of the main sources of energy supply. This period saw also the first private investment in electricity sector, the first IPP, with a new legal framework opening the way to a competition between public and private investment in this sector. The period 4, since is linked to the development of the deficit of the energy balance after a rapid growth of the demand. This deficit became structural in the energy, and the energy efficiency became one of the pillars of the Tunisian energy policy. The availability of hydrocarbon in Tunisia allows the country to resist to the oil crisis in 73 and 79. However, since 1980, oil production started decreasing. This decline was more than compensated with contribution of the Transmed pipeline from Algeria to Italy and the development of the Miscar gas field. Nevertheless, the consumption increased rapidly and the energy balance gap started in 2000, reached 3.8 million of ton equivalent of oil equivalent in 2014. The 2030 energy forecast shows that Tunisia will be facing an important energy gap by by that date. This gap will be between 12 million of ton of oil equivalent in case of business as usual, and 6 million ton of oil equivalent if a proactive energy efficiency program starts. Today, Tunisia is recovering from the Arab Spring, resulting in strong growth in electricity demand, 5% per year on average for annual electricity consumption and 11% for peak demand. However, little new power generation capacity has been commissioned in the last 4 years, and risk of shortage are now looming. This strong growth in electricity demand developed an additional reliance on import on hydrocarbon. The Tunisian energy system is extremely dependent on hydrocarbons, with oil and gas meeting 99% of the energy demand, 45% for oil and 55% for natural gas. Power generation is nearly entirely based on natural gas, 98%, with the renewable energy having only a very small contribution. This heavy reliance on oil and gas developed at a time when sizable reserves were discovered in Tunisia and production was sufficient to meet national needs. However, discovery had not kept up with the growing demand, and Tunisia becomes a net energy importer in 2000, reached 3.8 million tons of gas in 2014, about 41% of the primary demand, the primary energy demand. Current gas supply source, national production, and Algerian gas either through the transit fiscal term will not be sufficient to cover demand beyond 2020 at the best. Diversifying the energy mix and energy supply source has always been a priority in Tunisia, but with little tangible results so far. Reducing energy demand growth is also a priority, and Tunisia is a pioneer in developing work in implementing ambitious energy efficiency policy. However, this has not been sufficient to prevent the growing import dependency. In 2013, Tunisia launched the national debate on energy transition. The key elements of the energy strategy are: first, the development of the energy resource and infrastructure. Second, the reinforcement of the energy efficiency program. Third, the diversification of energy mix through renewable energy development. Fourth, the development and the reinforcement of the interconnection with mother country and Europe. Five, the institutional reform to adjust the Tunisian legal framework to a larger market and give more confidence to private sector to invest. Six, reinforcement of the cooperation with the mother countries, especially there may be a synergy between these countries. In fact, some are energy exporters and others are energy importers. Moreover, Tunisia has included climate change in its new constitution, approved in January 2014, being the only country of the third world to embed the importance of addressing climate change into the constitution. The National Climate Change Strategy, formulated in 2012, is now being translated in long-term development plans. A renewable energy law opening the energy sector to private investment to boost the renewable energy development has been adopted in May of this year. However, it will take time to develop the country's vast renewable energy potential. And in the meantime, the fastest way to meet Tunisia's growing energy needs might be through reinforcement of the interconnection, and in particular, the development of the Tunisia-Italy interconnection. Whether short or long term, Tunisia will not succeed its transition to secure a low-carbon energy system without cooperation in the Mediterranean of its Mediterranean neighbors. Tunisia could draw huge benefit from the creation of an integrated Euromed market. In fact, the country is ideally positioned to become a Med energy hub. Furthermore, renewable desert power for Europe creates a win-win situation for MENA countries. The IAEE study 2050 desert power concludes that 1. It's possible to supply the whole MENA region with electricity by an integrated power system based on wind, solar, and hydro. 2. An integrated MENA system brings significant cost saving to all countries, since the cost of solar and wind power will keep decreasing. It does so by connecting prime solar and wind resource with demand center through a new transmission grid. 3. By importing up to 20% of its electricity demand from MENA, Europe can more effectively and more affordably meet CO2 reduction target of 80% over 1990 level with desert power. The fast-growing MENA region can reduce its CO2 emission by 50% compared to 2011. The further integration of the greater benefit becomes in an integrated power system. The natural fluctuation of renewable energy can be balanced easily. MENA will not longer be dependent to foreign sources for their power supply than they are today. An integrated MENA power system will encourage mutual reliance and will lay groundwork for much broader cooperation between Europe and MENA. The importation by importing up to 20% of electricity from the desert, Europe could save 33 billion euro per year in 2050. MENA will benefit from the export industry to Europe worth up to 63 billion euro per year. Reaching the goal of integrated sustainable MENA power system will require combined effort in all the countries involved. One of the crucial and urgent projects to be launched is interconnecting the power grid of Tunisia and Italy. This project will ensure the better security of supply of the both countries and will launch the first step of this new EU-MENA integrated power grid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for this, the view from Tunisia, and now we come back home, where we are in Turkey, home country, with the country that has invited us for this presentation, to have the view from the Ministry of Energy and Natural Resources by Mr. Hasan. Erdogan is the head of the Department of Strategy, and he came out of his coal mine to find support for renewables, because after having spent 10 years as a coal mining engineer, he thought that he should try to do something a little bit cleaner, and is now promoting the sustainable energy in Turkey. You have the floor for 12 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests. We are happy to welcome you in Antalya for this very influential conference. I'm sure that the conference and the discussions held were very useful and all the participants benefited from these discussions. I also hope that you enjoyed Antalya, which is one of the most touristic cities of Turkey. Esteemed participants, as widely accepted, the recent international political developments and crises that led to energy shortages and instabilities in energy supply had considerable implications on world energy markets and highlighted the urgent need for establishing effective regional cooperation mechanisms in the security of energy supply. As energy consumption is rising rapidly, the interdependence among countries are increasing as well. Today, dealing with the security of energy supply is a very difficult task for everyone. Likewise, it's very difficult to say that a country that fully secured energy supplies or referred to as self-sufficient. In such an atmosphere, while energy consumers seek for security of their energy supplies, energy producers seek for security of energy demand to reduce the risks associated with their long-term investments. Distinguished participants, regarding security of energy supply, source and road diversification of energy plays an important role. If we evaluate the situation in the light of the global energy developments, stability, reliability, and sustainability lie in the core of the energy policies of both energy supplying and energy consuming countries. This shows how vital energy is for both producing and consuming economies. Therefore, it's essential to establish a global dialogue among consumer, producer, and transit countries based on common benefits and create grounds for mutual trust among global and regional communities. Esteemed participants, today in my speech I will focus on Turkey's position in the Euro-Mediterranean energy market. First of all, let me give you a brief geographical information on Turkey. As you already know, Turkey is located in Western Asia and Eastern Europe and is close to Africa. Turkey's Mediterranean shore is nearly about 1,600 kilometers and Turkey's Aegean shore is nearly about 2,800 kilometers. Turkey is one of the world's fastest growing economies with a certain increase in energy demand. The gross electricity consumption in Turkey by the year 2014 was about 255 billion kilowatt hours. At present, around 26% of our total energy demand is being matched by domestic resources, while the rest is being provided from a diversified portfolio of imports. Turkey energy policy aims to secure and diversify energy supply. Diversifying energy mix, supply routes, and secure countries are the main goals of Turkey in the near future. We have specific targets regarding these issues in our strategic plan also. Now, I would like to focus on the regional perspectives of Turkey's activities in the energy sector. In the Eastern Mediterranean basin of Turkey, surveys proved the existence of a great potential of natural gas by our national oil company, TPAO, which is Turkish Petroleum Corporation, 2D and 3D seismic studies. Also, drilling activities are ongoing. However, reserve and possible economic value have not been fully proved yet. It's estimated that at least 5 to 16 billion US dollars investment is needed in order to export the gas extracted from the Eastern Mediterranean basin to the international market. Experts state that the most economic and feasible way to transport this Eastern Mediterranean gas is constructing a new pipeline through Turkey to Europe. Our energy relationship with the Mediterranean countries has largely been based on the mutually beneficial trade of energy, and Turkey pays utmost importance to being a regional energy hub. Today, if we look at the general trend in the Mediterranean region, we can see that in addition to the Middle East countries, North Africa's role is significant for the production of hydrocarbons. North Africa region boasts 3.9% of world oil reserves and 4.5% of world production. At the same time, as regards to natural gas, the whole region has about 4.3% of gas reserves and produces 4.6% of the world's production. Our regional gas company, BOTAŞ, which is Turkish Petroleum Pipeline Corporation, renewed its existing LNG supply contract with Algeria. Turkey will import 4.4 BCM natural gas per year for 10 years from Algeria. Our national oil company, PKO, Turkish Petroleum Corporation, conducted exploration activities in Libya between 2000 and 2014. But as you already know very well, unfortunately, due to political instability in Libya, activities stopped into this year, 2014. One of the cooperative works between the EU and Mediterranean countries is conducted under the framework of the Union for Mediterranean. UFM aims to enhance the cooperation on natural gas and external markets, energy efficiency and renewable energy. Our ministry has been participating and contributing to the studies of UFM on a regular basis. One of the recent and most important developments in the electricity interconnections with the EU is the signing of the long-term agreement between TİAŞ, which is a grid operator of Turkey, and ENSOİ on the 15th of April 2015, this year, in Brussels. By this very fruitful step, Turkey's electricity grid is connected with the European electricity grid. Our aim is the full membership to the ENSOİ. Moreover, studies for strengthening the interconnections of Turkey with all the neighboring countries are also ongoing. These studies are also conducted in order to extend the possibilities for the asynchronous parallel operation by the installation of the back-to-back direct current or alternative current converter facilities from non-EU neighboring power systems. With regard to the electricity trade between Turkey and Romania, a feasibility study was conducted. It has been concluded that the existing interconnection lines between Romania and Bulgaria are sufficient, and with the construction of two new overhead transmission lines between Turkey and Bulgaria, the transfer capacity is planned to increase to 2,400 megawatts. In this way, 800 to 1,000 megawatt electricity transfer will be provided between Turkey and Romania through Bulgaria. Within the scope of this project, the studies regarding the draft agreement on increasing the existing transfer capacity between Turkey and Bulgaria are still ongoing. In addition, our studies continue as regards to the 8 countries project, which envisages the development of the electricity systems of and the interconnection between Egypt, Libya, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Palestine, Syria, and Turkey. On 11 to 12 May of this year, the General Planning Committee was held in Istanbul, and the parties agreed to continue their studies. Regarding the studies conducted under METIASU, as you are aware, METIASU has signed a memorandum of understanding with the European Commission on cooperation between the Mediterranean TSOs, for electricity and integrating the Mediterranean electricity systems and fostering investments in the reinforcement and expansion of the electricity transmission infrastructure. We continue our studies with regard to electricity interconnections and development of the electricity infrastructures. Our transmission system operator, TİAŞ, acts as Vice President of METTSO till 2018. These studies and projects are providing Turkey a great potential to transport electricity among these regions. As regards the renewable energy, Turkey has a high potential. By 2019, in our strategic plan, we have 32,000 megawatt of hydraulic, 10,000 megawatt wind, 700 megawatt geothermal, 3,000 megawatt solar, and 700 megawatt biomass installed capacity trials in electricity generation. We are also working on to enhance renewable energy utilization by small and medium enterprises and municipalities, and we are conducting EU projects for this purpose. Turkey would be happy to intensify cooperation and share its experience and technical expertise with Euro-Mediterranean region, and always open to share its knowledge and experience on the energy sector with the countries in the region, with the other stakeholders. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude my speech by underlining that secure, sustainable and affordable energy is the essential factor for stability and prosperity across the Euro-Med region. Europe and Mediterranean regions have unique opportunities to work together in order to develop new sources of energy, new gas and electricity networks. Common projects with common goals will bring the economic potential in the regions. I would like to thank the organizations of this conference also. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this very complete coverage of Turkey's position in the Mediterranean. So here is what I suggest we're going to do here, because we have enough time for having a rich and lively debate. Although the organizers are making sure that they cut the air conditioning off so we wouldn't stay too late. The other day was to call, we told them they had to do energy saving so they cut it down. I'm going to change the rule a little bit to how we do it usually. First, I'm going to use my privilege as chair to ask the first question, not last. And I will give all the questions in a row, and when you answer, I'm going to ask each one of you to answer my question, but also comment on the other speeches, and ask if you have questions for the other members of the panel, and then we'll open to everybody. And actually, what struck me the most in what we heard, I still think we heard very national point of view in general, and I heard very little how together, by being together, coordinating, cooperating, we would be better. So that's something that I'd like to start thinking about. So let me throw my question number one to Samuel Furfari. Will it take, given how long you say it took to create an energy union, which is not finished, it's unfinished business, will it take as long for the Mediterranean Union? And what can we learn from what happened in Europe? Can benefit be extracted so it will be done faster? Because it will be even more difficult given the geopolitics of the region. Let me answer, I will ask all the questions in a row, and then I will ask for answers in a reverse order. So not the question because I won't repeat them. For Morocco, for MASEN, I understood that the industrial dimension of the renewable strategy was very important. In the economic implication for the country. We're not just staying within energy, but energy as a driver of green growth, if I can call it. And it's actually visible. It gave me enough trouble when I was the TTL project manager for the bank, because it insists on having some local contact, which is always difficult. So I think my question there is, can we understand a little bit more if Mediterranean integration will help? Because that's my understanding is to be able to do manufacturing, you need some certain size of market. So is Morocco doing something to cooperate not just on the energy side, but on the manufacturing behind it? And secondly, what is MASEN doing because they're known now as a leader in solar energy, having really successfully launched 2 major tenders, which have now been awarded, and one is nearly ready for commissioning, the other one construction will be launched. So how can they make the other countries in the Mediterranean benefit from that, and what can people learn from MASEN, and vice versa, by the way. To Mr. Rassaa, I would say, you mentioned the interconnector, but is there anything else the partners in the region, the other countries could help Tunisia with to overcome its energy crisis? Is there any other source